Casino?
I mean, it kind of sounded like it for a second. You know, the
What
bell,
are you hearing?
the bell's going off. The ding, ding, ding.
That would be us.
I know.
As I move around a bit, put some light on my face.
Why are you moving around?
Why? Because I'm using the natural light in my apartment.
Got it.
The lights I have here are not bright enough, and if I get the big lights out, that's so much work. All right, let's see. That doesn't seem like what I was trying to get to. Oh no, that's Megan's. I'm looking up, it's like, where is Scott's stuff?
What?
Welcome to Double Funnel TV.
Did you lose me already?
I lost that. But welcome to Double Funnel TV. On Fridays, we do selling tips from Mr. Scott Schilling, international speaker and trainer.
I know this guy.
I know, right? Today, going over the communication model and FAB.
That's right.
I feel like I should say it with a little bit more swing and snap.
Well, FAB would be features, advantages, and benefits. And we were talking about that earlier in the week. And so it's, you know, again, as we go into the training day, it's funny how you all of a sudden, you know, got some height, kind of think it all through and go, huh, what could we do today? What could we do? And then all of a sudden I went, well, why don't I support the information that we discussed the other day?
Sounds always like a good plan.
Kind of made sense to me. So it was like, okay, I think we'll do that. So but we'll also predicate it with the communication model, because that's these all go together. I mean, that's the biggest thing in all of training. And this is actually one of the reasons why quality copywriting and quality, this is why videos are important on your landing pages. Mm-hmm. This is the proof that video is important on your landing pages.
Well, let me say, with this particular day, what problems are we solving?
We're raising we're going to solve a lot of problems, actually, very much so. But the major problems are understanding that just because you say something or you intend something in what you say,
yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean that the other side receives it that way. And we're living in a time where it's more prevalent than ever that there is just horrendous communication going on. And it started with these things and continues with these things. And again, getting into the digital era, see, we used to, back in the day, some of us more mature, that's code word for old, some of us more mature folks only had certain ways that we could do business. I mean, we had...
Was that easier or more difficult?
I
feel like it's both.
Well, I think the answer to that is yes. There were parts of it that were more difficult compared to today, but at the time it just was what it was. It's all you had. So it only becomes comparable because there's something to compare it to now.
That is true.
There wasn't anything to compare. It was the only way you could do it. I remember in 1984 when I was asked to be one of the official testers for the Motorola car phone.
Motorola car phone.
Yes.
Good morning, Rayanne.
Good morning, Rayanne. And so they said, we know you travel to and from your territory. We know you're in your car a lot each day going between accounts. We will pay for your bill. The only thing we want you to do is use the phone in your car. And it was like, well, and this was when it was actually, they actually drilled into your
dashboard.
Well, into the dashboard or into the mound, the transmission mound in the car.
So like it was actually wired into the car.
Oh, there was actually a post into the car that you would hang up your phone on, and then the actual transceiver was in the trunk. And then of course you had to, you had a antenna on the top of your car or on your trunk lid or something.
Ooh. I remember the binders when it was a binder.
It was quite intense. But anyway, so that was a great transition in quote unquote productivity, sort of, kind of, right?
Okay.
So I think that that's what happens with all of this is what this communication model just is. It is what it is. It is how communication gets done. And unfortunately, most people butcher it up pretty badly. And because they haven't learned, they haven't stopped long enough to critically think about this or get this information. So they don't recognize. I say it in virtually every training I do. By a show of hands, how many of you don't know what you don't know? And so the point is, everybody doesn't know something they don't know, right? And this when you know this communication model, all of a sudden, all sorts of opportunities open up for you. Now, how does it apply to digital? It's tremendously applicable to digital, because just because you think it's, remember yesterday I was saying that in copy I put, even more important, ... And then later, like 2 sentences later, I said, even more better. And I did it as a joke. I mean, I did it because I was being conversational in what I was writing. And
good morning, Randy.
If I was in front of somebody, if I say, hey, more importantly, you're going to get this, 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 and this, and even more better, now you smile, right? It's a relationship building thing. But if we're not there looking at each other, which is the physiology of it all, and if you can't see the expressions, which is the physiology of it all, and you can't hear my tone in delivering that, which is the tonality behind it all, you're just stuck with the words. And so now you look at those words and you go, this guy's a freaking moron. You can't see even more better. It's even more or even better. It's not even more better, right? So that's my point. That's why this communication model is, sometimes, and it goes back to, I think I've shared this on Double Funnel TV before. We were sitting with Zig Ziglar one time, and somebody said to him, Zig, every city we go to, you share the exact same talk. Everybody else tries to change their talk and make it fresh and do all this different stuff. How come you never change your talk? And he said, oh, that's simple. 2 simple reasons. Number one, this is the first time in this city these people have heard this. But more importantly, I teach truth, and truth never changes. And so you know, sometimes it seems like when we're doing these trainings, you know, it's like, Scott, you keep on talking about know, like, and trust. It's truth. Truth doesn't change. You're just because you don't want to acknowledge it, just because you don't whatever, doesn't make it untrue. It is true. And the communication model is much that same way. Is even though you may not have heard this before, and whether these numbers are exactly accurate in today's day versus when the communication studies were originally done, I mean, we can argue over semantics. Why would you want to? It's
Right.
the concept behind this that's really important. So that's why this communication model becomes so important, both on verbal presentation, but it also becomes tremendously important in digital presentation. So if you would flip it to the the first slide, back in 1977 at UCLA, Dr. Albert Maharaban did a study on nonverbal interpersonal communications between significant others. And while these numbers may be changed a little bit, and while the exact process isn't exactly what we're talking about here, and I think communications is intimate, whether it's between significant others or you and your customer. That's your significant other at that time. This is easily the most misquoted study in communications in history. So to be consistent, I will also misquote it, just to stay consistent in it. But here's what he found in his study: that 7% of our communication is the words. 38% is the tonality with which the words are delivered. And 55% is the physiology that accompanies the tonality in the words. So, you know, we'll go and we'll break this down here, but let me give you an example. Hi. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
It's all the same word. But was the communication different?
Oh, yeah.
The first was just the word. The second was the word with an upbeat tonality put behind it. And the third was the word with upbeat tonality and the physiology and gesturing. So we start to understand very quickly why video is so important in digital marketing, because I can read the words,
right,
but then I've got to apply the other 93% of the communications to your words. If you use a video sales letter, which is now you reading your words, at least we now have tone and words coming from you. I'm missing the physiology, so I might miss a little enthusiasm or excitement behind it, but I am now getting 45% of the message. Now, if
so
you're
using it like math.
Well, it is like math.
Well, I mean, I've never, now you're adding percentages, right? I've never heard it mathed up like that. It's just like, hey, pay attention to all your communication, not, hey, when you say something like this across text message, you're only communicating 7% of the message, whereas if I add tone over the phone, I'm now 7 plus 38. You know, does that make sense? I hear math.
Tone is far, I mean, think about it. Tone is far more powerful. Think about
my husband
any spousal relationship. That's exactly where I was going. How's everything? Oh, it's fine. How's everything? Fine. The word didn't change, but boy, the tone did. And so this is
now what imagine it with a slam door.
Well, that's the physiology. let's just drive the message home. But that's it. That's the exact point. And so what these things have forced in our society is word-only communication. And so because communication was getting so jagged up, they created the emoji. And the purpose of an emoji is to add tone. And so at one time you only had a smiley face. I was just kidding, smiley face. No, you weren't. You were, that was a dig. Well, now they give you the smiley face with devil horns on it, right? And so the point is, so there's a recognition that words don't just by themselves don't just cut it. Okay, so let's dig into each one of these sections. Go to the next slide if you would, please. So 7% of the communication is the words, and word choice becomes extremely critical. So it's an example I give in virtually every live training I do. Let's say that I go to a Starbucks and there's a lovely young lady walking up to the door, and I open the door and I allow her to pass in first. She says, typically, thank you. What do most people say in that situation?
No problem.
Well, some people do say no problem, but I don't. We'll address that in a second. Most people say, you're welcome. So she walks in first. She says, thank you. You say, you're welcome. Let's take that situation first. Nothing wrong with that. But the vast majority of people, and I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a lot, say, thank you. The rest say, you're welcome. So it doesn't differentiate you. Understand that everything in communication is how to differentiate yourself, or here's what's very important, right? So what I train on and what I suggest people say is, it's my pleasure. She walks in first, she says thank you, and say, it's my pleasure. Wow. All of a sudden, that's a differentiator. Word choice becomes critical.
Just between thank you, my pleasure, and no problem.
Right. And so, and another one, or I'll say, it's my honor. Wow. See, it's an up level. The quality of your life is the quality of your communications. So as you up level your communications, people hold you in higher regard. I mean, you sit there, and we understand why in our society, when people butcher the English language, we wonder why people don't think they're as potentially intelligent as somebody else. Well,
we do that, even if it's fair or not fair.
That's what I'm saying. So word choice is critical, and your choice to butcher the English language, and your choice to not complete words, and your choice to use slang might make you cool, but it's certainly going to affect your business relationships. It's certainly going to affect your communication. So again, in this case, she walks through the door, she says, thank you. I say, it's my pleasure. But in every audience, and it happened here with you, when I ask, what do you say? Somebody will always say, no problem. Well, you did something nice for somebody. You opened the door for them. They walked in. They say thank you, which is a very nice thing to say. You say no problem. There was no problem until you said no problem. There was no consideration that there could be a problem until you said no problem, because nobody was discussing a problem until you brought up a problem. People go, Scott, oh, this is silly. It's not. As soon as I give you the awareness of how many people say no problem, you're going to go to a restaurant today. A server is going to bring you your food. You're going to say thank you. And there will be a server that somebody goes to lunch today and a server will say, no problem. How big's your tip if all of a sudden I think I'm infringing upon you?
Oh.
Whereas if you say, it's my pleasure. Thank you for bringing me my food. It's my pleasure. Wow,
it was my honor.
It was my honor. Wow, this is such a nice person. You know, why don't we up our tip a little bit? And people sit there and say, oh, come on, that's crazy. It's not crazy. It's exactly how it happens. The only difference is, are you paying attention to it or not? Because I teach this a lot, I hear it because it's top of mind. I can't tell you how many times I hear no problem. It's so crazy. So as an example, and Rayanne put it, my pleasure. If you drive through a Chick-fil-A or you go to a Chick-fil-A, when you say thank you to them, there is only one way they answer.
Yep, trained.
My pleasure. They are trained. If you go to a Ritz-Carlton, it's my pleasure. If you go to a Four Seasons, it's my honor. Now, what are those places? Those are all up-leveled places. You up-level your communication to up-level your experience. So again, sometimes people say, Scott, you're beating this thing to death. Yeah, kind of, but not really. This is important. And again, word choice is critical. And I gave this example, I think, in a live training that I did at Business Growth Network. But sex education versus sex training. Word choice is critical, right? I mean, how you relate things to people makes a huge difference. And so again, that's that next point, is use simple language. This is what happens. In fact, this business that we're going in and we're kind of revamping their marketing and different stuff. The products are fabulous. The science behind why they're fabulous is amazing. But it's all talked in scientific, technical terms. Now, how many people understand what's going on? They don't.
Not in science terms.
You throw we tend to want to be the authority. Somebody has told us people buy from those they perceive to be the authority. So by God, be the authority. So what happens is now all of a sudden we work to be the authority, and holy crud, we talk over the top of people's head. This goes back to why people say, Scott, why do you train everybody to speak at a 5th grade level? Because I can always go more technical. If I go technical and I lose you, all you do is do this. Bobblehead. Uh-huh. 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 Do you want to buy? Uh-uh. Why not? It's not right for me. No, it has nothing to do with being right or not right. What it has to do with is you had no clue what I said to you. And for you to say that to me embarrasses you. And you are not purposely going to embarrass you. It doesn't happen that way. So you'd rather pass on the opportunity. So people go, well, she wasn't a buyer anyway. She might have been.
And that's a good one. If you're getting distressed about low sales or not enough attention, maybe it's just the way you presented it.
But this is why it's so important in digital copy. And Randy's comment before, all you have is the words in digital. Yes and no. I mean, yes, when it comes to words, but it's how you craft the words and how simple you make it. So if I'm presenting something to you, in fact, I want to talk to you about this because it's one of the things we've been doing with these landing pages, with these funnels. That's a fairly complex thought. Create an analogy for which everybody can align with. Give them something similar for them to grab onto. Use simple language. Again, I can always go more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
The people who do this actually, unfortunately, too well is pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, because they have to. Their advertising guidelines are ridiculous.
Exactly. So the point is, this is where, again, we're going to get to the second part of this feature, advantage, benefit. It's what you got to take it to the benefit level. You know, what is double funnel TV all about? Well, we're going to show you, and we're going to build funnels live. But here's the bottom line. That may or may not excite you, but here's what will. Once you see a well-performing funnel, it means dollars in your pocket.
I'm gonna like trade because you're talking about feature benefits. I have always on a regular basis we have a hard time explaining that.
You'll see it. You'll see it when we get to those pages. Then the next thing I would challenge you is to look at the last 30 days of your emails, or as you're crafting email series, and replace the words I, me, my, and mine with you and yours. Because this becomes, let's go back to the foundational trainings of WIIFT, what's in it for them? Not what's in it for you, what's in it for them. So if I say, I'm a really good trainer, pompous ass, you should see me on stage, jerk. My record is flawless. What a egotistical. You know, it's all about, you know, my books, my right? Versus if I say, you know, I love the opportunity to train because you will learn what you need to do. Your business will grow. Your opportunities will skyrocket. Who does everybody want this to be, communication to be about? They want it to be about them. So again, in a live training, I'll stand up and I'll say, let me just give you the difference. Today, I will teach you, or today you will learn.
That's a big difference, and it's so small.
People make sales really hard for no reason. It is a big difference, and it is really small.
Because I'm trying to think how I talk myself. And it's something that you don't even think about. You're like, hey, I'm going to be training about this today. And I'll even try to make sure that I put in there why they care, but the opening could be better.
Well, the point is, you just said it. Today I'm going to be training on, or versus, today you're going to have the opportunity to learn. I mean, I would, when you change it to from I, me, my, and mine to you and yours, it totally changes the positioning of the communication. So again, it's in digital marketing speak, it's putting them in the after condition. One is the before, the I, me, my, and mine is the before. The you and yours is the after. And if we want to put people in the after condition, we should use you and yours. Make sense?
It does make sense.
Cool. Next slide, please. So again, word choice is critical. A lot of networking events, people walk in and they say their title. And you could, I'm an insurance agent, I'm a digital marketer, I'm a sales trainer. Here's the answer to that. Who cares?
They don't. They don't really care at all.
Either so what or who cares. If they can answer so what, you got a problem. So if somebody says, Scott, what do you do? Well, I help people like you and families like yours enjoy a life full of happiness for years and years. There's a word missing. But I help People like you and families like yours live longer, stronger, healthier, happier lives. Do you understand how different that positioning is? So now you're in a you're in a networking event, and somebody says, "What do you do?" Say, "Well, you want the long answer or the short answer?" Why am I doing that? Because everything is about creating a relationship and know, like, and trust. Let's go back to the foundational pieces. That's why it's foundational. You got to get them to know you. You got to get them to like you. You got to get them to trust you. So if you say, "Scott, what is it you do?" I'll be playful, because people like, most of the time, like playful people. I'll say, "Do you want the short answer or the long answer?" "Well, go ahead and give me the long answer." "Well, I help people like you and families like yours live a longer, happier, healthier life." "Wow, that's pretty cool. How do you do that?" "Very well, thank you." You see what just happened to you.
It's interesting that you say people like to be around people who are a little playful. I think that's something that some of us do have to go out of our way to learn.
I don't doubt that, which is why it's being trained here. It's to help you understand that people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And so that relationship. So if somebody says, "Well, give me the short answer." Well, ultimately, I help people help people. How do you do that? Very well, thank you. Do you understand? I do the exact same thing in the second. Why does it do it? Because I want them to want to create a relationship. I want them to want to know.
Yep.
Too many people have the urge to purge. They got that verbal vomit set up and they just want to really go.
Oh, it's like purging at home is wonderful.
Yeah.
Haven't you been watching that new show on Netflix?
Yeah. What is it you do? Well, I'm a health professional that does this in a totally holistic fashion, and I can do that for you in 30 days or less, and we can do that by only doing this, and gosh, I would love to work with you. You lost me at hello. If people would learn to saunter a little bit, if they would learn to slow down a little bit, if they would learn to just say, "What is it you do?" Well, really, I love helping people help people. How do you do that? Very well. No, really, how do you do that? Well, typically in a situation like this, I ask a lot of questions of them to find out what they need, kind of what they want. What are their desires? I've been very fortunate that I know a lot of people. So if I understand what you're looking for, quite frankly, many times I can match that up with somebody I already know. Who knows? Sometimes that's even me. Do you understand? Well, but do you understand how different that communication is right there? And people go, you really do this? And I go, I do it all the time. It is a friend of mine. It's funny. A friend of mine is on the front page of the Dallas Morning News business section today. And I walked in, I read the article, and I saw him at the club, and I walked up to him with a pen and a thing, and I said, "Sir, can I get your autograph? This is an amazing article." And he looks at me and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, I don't have many rock star friends that are on the front page of the business section every day, And so
that's a pretty big deal.
Do you understand? But what I was able to do, by the time we were done, he said, "Thanks so much." He goes, "I'm really excited. This isn't a plan. This is a mission. We're going to positively impact a whole bunch of lives." I said, "Dude, I'm so excited for you and what you're doing. Know that I'm always here if I can help you in any way." He goes, "I know. I really appreciate your support." Those are the things you do. Now, what did I get out of it? I got a smile out of him. I smiled. We laughed about, he goes, "You're such a goof walking up here wanting me to autograph the newspaper." Why does life have to be hard? Why can't you have fun? I mean, it was early frickin' this morning. I had just gotten out of the swimming pool. You know, it's like, okay, my workout is in. Let's go goof off now for a few minutes. I got training to do in a couple hours. Right? Okay, next slide.
All right, next slide. Getting into the tonality.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Jack Canfield just texted me. Sorry, I got to stop down for this for a second.
What? He supersedes Facebook Live and me, Jack Canfield? So while you're doing that, I'm going to pull up a screen here. If I can get it up. It's on, that shows, kind of goes back to that before and after. I found it on Facebook, and it was hilarious to me anyway. We'll pop this back up here while he's down and looking at his phone. But talking about the before, I know. Talking about the before and after state, the idea of feature benefit, that Pingo put together a quick blog post trying to explain to their own clients what the feature benefit difference was. And they did it for Diet Coke. And on one side, you see the feature is that it's low calorie, and that's what everyone in business wants to talk about. But the true benefit is that you get to look better than that witch from accounting at the end of the year party. It had nothing, the low calorie has nothing to do with the actual person. What they really want is just to look better than that other chick that's in their office that they don't like. But I thought that was a great example of the before and after feature there. Are we back yet?
We're back. Sorry. I just had to think. But there's a prime example. I mean, Jack speaking to the NFL Players Association in Atlanta prior to the Super Bowl, and he said, just wanted to check, where did you play football and what position? So Jack wants to talk about me to the NFL Players Association. That's nice. Sorry, I normally wouldn't pop out of something like this, but okay. See, okay. A smile can be heard. So the second part of this is tonality, right? So your smile can be heard if you're speaking. That's why I use a headset, so that you can open up your diaphragm. A lot of times I'll be on phone calls. I'll actually be standing up. Why? I open up my diaphragm. I can breathe easier. I can do all those different things. And if you truly want to generate an enthusiastic tone, all you do is go higher and faster. And if you want to convey compassion, you go lower and slower. And so this is where so the first thing is you got the words, but now you've got to match your words with your tonality. So as an example, let me give you another example. Life sucks. Now the question is, does life suck, or am I confused? Right? The words were life sucks. The tonality is life is great, right? Or because you never see this happen. How's your day? It is just awesome. Man, it is so good. You know, if you're happy, let your face know. You know,
let your face know.
Have fun doing what you're doing, right? So again, tonality is how you make the words dance. Well, I teach a lot in the holistic disciplines. I was with a chiropractor. I tell this story. One of the first chiropractors I ever went to went, "You've got a subluxation. You could die." I'm like, holy crap, I got something I don't know what it is, and I could die. And he seems happy about it. I said, none of this is working in my favor.
Oh, good.
Now, if he says the exact same words, but he says, "You've got a subluxation. You could die." Wow, this is serious. I need to listen. So this happens a lot, you know, and this is where, you know, with health professionals, bedside manner, this is some of the stuff that they talk about, because it's like, well, you just came through surgery and man, it looks good. Well, then why are you dying inside, right? You know, so the point is that you really need to match your words and do this. So this is why, again, these things are hazardous. My encouragement to you is never send a text, never send an email without reading it twice. Read it with the tone that you intended behind it. You're on puppy uppers, you're happy as can be. And then read it as if you're having the worst day in the history of ever. And I really learned this as part of I was negotiating a speaking gig with a friend. He goes, I'd really like you to come in and train our team. And I said, awesome. I think that'd be an awesome thing. Anyway, it didn't work for whatever reason. And so I sent him an email and said, hey, sorry it didn't work out. Thanks for all your efforts. Look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks. Didn't hear from him. A couple days later, I decided to call him. I said, hey, did you get my email? I got your email. Well, you sound upset. I got your sarcastic email. I wasn't being sarcastic. Let me read it to you. Hey, sorry it didn't work out. Thanks for your efforts. Let's do it next time. Thanks. I said, that's not what I said. He goes, it was your words. It was my words, but it was his tone. So that's why, especially in this day and age, there's no place for written sarcasm, for sure. There's really no place for sarcasm, period. But there's no place for written sarcasm, because you don't know the tone of the receiving party. I mean, they have the ability to come in here and just
change it completely.
Totally. Tone overrides words. So if I say to you, you know, Jena, you suck. Well, at least you're looking at me, right? But you know I never say that. But my tone was light and airy and fun, and we were playing, but the words still hurt.
I found like I had a lot of trouble with that coming out of the military. In the military, and I think especially the men in the military, their way of communicating, and I didn't notice this until I was not in that environment, was a series of loving insults.
Right.
To one another. And then when I got out and I went to art school with a completely different type of demographic, and you would say something and all of a sudden there's girls crying and you're like, what did I do?
Yeah, totally. You know, it's the fact is, and I used to go around and around. We had part of our sales force that just thought their sarcasm was the greatest thing in ever. And they said, well, they like it. They laugh. They like it, and they first of all, they don't like it. But the reason they laugh is not to embarrass them. You see, if they don't laugh, then they've got to address it. So you've put them in a corner where they now have to respond to it. So they laugh, so you think that they actually like it. There ain't anybody who likes being fat shamed, body shamed, skill shamed.
And it really hurts them, because a lot of times those same people will come back and tell me what happened.
Exactly.
And they're like, I know the other person didn't mean to, but
there's
I've seen people get fired over it, not just lose sales. I've seen people get fired over something they thought was sarcastic.
Right. And the point is, it just isn't. It is certainly a communication choice. I would suggest to you it's not the best communication choice. You're going to do whatever you're going to do. Not you personally, the collective you, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that it doesn't need to be. So let's go through the next slide. How's that?
I can handle that.
Perfect.
Getting into the good stuff.
So the next is physiology. This is the the movement, the expressions, again, if you're happy, tell your face, let everybody know it, right? Gesturing. This is the gesturing you use. This is whether you point. Let me see if I can do it. Nobody likes that, but you understand.
Does that count smiling? Like, I notice when I make sales calls, I intentionally try to smile. Is the smile part of tonality, or is that part of physiology?
It's physiology. Having a smile on your face is physiology. But as an example, I'll be speaking in Houston tomorrow to an audience. At some time, I will point into the audience. There's not a doubt I will do it. But here's how I will not do it. I will not do it palm down, one finger out. I will do it hand turned over, all fingers extended.
Now, do you do it? I've
See, this is welcoming.
Do the open palm face because it's welcoming.
Right. That's the whole thing. It's welcoming. And so that's why you see the thing there, the shake. We have spent, with Salesforces, I have spent 3 hours training people how to shake hands. People go, are they slow on the uptake? No, they're not slow on the uptake. There is a process. Is it the only way to shake hands? No, I'm not saying that. But there is a reason to learn how to properly shake hands. Why? You only have one chance to make a first impression. So again, all these things, selling isn't any one single thing. Selling is a combination of a lot of little things. There's no $100 solution. There's 10 $10 solutions, right? So shaking hands is one of them. Physical demonstration. Again, in the chiropractic industry, I speak at 4 colleges a year. And the first time I did this at this one particular college, they go, nobody has ever showed this to us. And I went, you're kidding me, right? And so the human head weighs somewhere between 7 and 9 pounds. And if you don't have the proper curve in your cervical spine, your head falls forward. And if your head falls forward, you now start to get a lump in the back. You lose that. All sorts of different things happen because of this. Well, how could you really demonstrate? So I can tell you that. And you go, But physical demonstration. So I get a girl's shot put, which weighs 8 pounds.
Okay.
And I said, I just want you to put your hand just like this. And put the shot put in their hand. I said, how's that feel? Oh, it feels fine. Can you support that? Yeah, it feels. Okay, now I want you to grab onto that shot put. And all I want you to do is turn your wrist over. And what you find is how much this pulls on the back of your wrist.
Terribly. You can hurt your wrist really bad that way. I used to throw shot put.
That's the exact same thing that happens when your head falls forward because of losing the curvature in your cervical spine.
Ooh.
Now there's a physical demonstration where without their, using their head, I can actually get them to feel the physiology of why they would want the health benefits of a chiropractic adjustment. The point is that if you can make a physical demonstration of something, it's going to be far superior. And then, of course, you are your greatest physical demonstration. So what does that mean? It means smile, it means hair, it means how you look, it means how you dress, it means how you, if you are touting a healthy lifestyle, you probably don't have a cigarette hanging out of your mouth, right?
No.
Some of the other things that go along with that. So if you go to the next slide, how do I know this? I mean, I experienced this. I said the same 21,557 words 1,500 times. And on the right, that is me between Bob Proctor and Michael Beckwith from The Secret. That's not a wall, that is me. And when I lost I had a 65-pound net. I lost 77 pounds of fat, gained 12 pounds of muscle, said the exact same 21,557 words, and my sales doubled.
Everything else, all other things being equal.
All other things being equal.
So we're clear. This is the before over here, right? With the two guys?
Yes. Yeah.
And this is the after over here with just you.
Yeah. Yeah. When you start to, when I got myself. So the point is, when you start to, you've got to be congruent with your messaging. Now, what if, let's say you're on a health journey and you're now starting to tout healthful products and things like that? Then your statement is, the good news is, I'm not where I used to be, and I'm not where I'm going to be, but I'm on my way. So there are times where you can do that, but then you've got to make that progress. I mean, you don't lose 80 pounds, in a week. That doesn't happen, not healthfully, right? So again, that's the point. So when you put the words with the tonality, with the physiology, this is what wraps it all together. And then we start to put it into the, I call it a price-value relationship. So next slide, please.
Price-value relationship.
So so think of it this way, and you can say, this isn't the way it happens 100% of the time. Okay, I get that. But if you think of it this way 100% of the time, it will really help you. Virtually nothing is 100% of the time. So if you look at the size of these two boxes, that this is the tremendous amount that the customer is going to pay for the little bit of value they feel they're going to receive. It's disproportionate. In other words, the consumer, if you feel like this is the way they're coming in, it prepares you to do something about it. If you think, oh, I'm just the best and my pricing's the best and by God, I'm not going to do anything, and it's not about you. It's about them. So if this is the way they think, so go to the next slide. So what we have to do through our presentation is we actually have to reverse these boxes so that they get to the point where they feel this is the small amount that they have to pay.
This is like the price and bonus stacking.
Exactly. So we typically do that through feature, advantage, benefit presentation. This is what we were talking about earlier in the week when we're talking about funnel development and things like this. We want them to feel whatever that number is a small amount compared to what they walk away with. That's the really quick snapshot of what that says. So go to the next slide, please.
What does it do for them?
So think of feature, advantage, benefit as a question. The feature is the what.
Yep.
The advantage is the does it do. The benefit is for them. What does it do for them? So if everything you do, you think this through, what does it do for them? A feature is merely a thing. I mean,
so I have a question from Randy. So Randy's actually commenting from where I shared it on my personal page, so I can't throw it up for you to see. Mm-hmm. But Randy said, does this mean to imply that overweight people will not be successful?
Did not say that. I said it depends on what your process is, depends on what. Okay, let me start back. Unfortunately, in our society, there is a bias towards a good bias towards fit people and a not as good bias away from fit people. I mean, away from non-fit people. Is that a fair way of saying that?
I think that's fair. I know women get it, like absolutely, positively.
My point is, if the question is, does that mean that overweight people can't be successful? Not what I'm saying. They can be, but understand they're being judged at a different level. everything. I didn't say it's right. Let's not go there. Not saying that. Just stating the facts. I'm stating the facts that people look at you differently. And so if you're talking about a life of quality and vim and vigor, and you're 100 pounds overweight, people are going to get, I hear what you're saying. I hear the words. There's a quote that we used to talk about a lot. Your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear the words you're saying. So your action is you're 100 pounds overweight. You're telling me that's irrelevant.
Okay.
It might be, or it might not be. I mean, if you've got a physical condition that holds you there, a thyroid problem or something, it's irrelevant. But if I don't know you have that, so do you understand? This is that know, like, and trust stage again. And so again, I'm trying to, it doesn't mean that you can't be. It's what the more congruent you are, word, deed, look, speak, everything, the more you will be reciprocated and responded to in that way.
I feel like that makes sense.
You're talking to a guy who's gained and lost 2,000 pounds in his life. So wish I only had half of the equation. You know, the probably not that much. But anyway, my point is that it's, I get it. I can tell you people responded when I was at a smaller size, people responded me different than they did at a bigger size. Right, wrong, or indifferent?
It is what it is.
Yeah. So a feature, good question, Randy. Again, I'm the anti shaming anything thing. It ain't my job to judge. My job is
I feel
to
like sometimes they're just things, and it doesn't even have to be something like weight, where it's a known thing that people judge over. It can be really subtle things, like I've been judged because I smiled too much.
Again, we've become a society that's totally offendable at anything. You smiled too much. You didn't smile enough. Wait, you smiled sideways. You
so I feel like everything
time.
is compared to the person who's doing the judging. And you can't make everyone happy. And your life becomes infinitely easier when you let that go. Totally agree. All right, back into this as we finish up here. So a feature is merely a thing. Manufacturers put all sorts of things on their product. You know, a TV has got a switch on it. It's got a remote control. That's just a thing. So, but if they sit there and jump up and down about, we've got a remote control. Well, you've got a thing. Who cares? My heart-centered selling, my training is a thing. Okay. The advantage is something good about the thing. So in regard to my training, it provides an easily understood and implemented system to live your purpose. That's what's good about the thing. Okay. If people like that, they might look further at the thing. Okay. But the benefit is what the prospect really desires, allowing you to serve more people and achieve a greater quality of life. I share it all the time. Quite frankly, I'm not the task I do is that of speaking and training. But what I really am is a quality of life merchant. I help people improve their quality of life. Sometimes that's in business. Sometimes that's with health. Sometimes that's with sales. There's nobody that wants this training. What they want is the rewards this training will bring them. That's fair.
That's the benefit. So again, if we were to look at a feature advantage benefit statement, it's what's in the purple there. Heart-centered selling provides an easily understood and implemented system to live your purpose, allowing you to serve more people and achieve greater quality of life. I really want greater quality of life. How do I get there? Well, you could, heart-centered selling. This training could help you get there. Oh, okay. Now, remember the other day I said, this is the way it's been taught: feature advantage benefit, feature function benefit. It gets taught this order. To my knowledge, I'm the only guy who teaches it in reverse, because it ultimately comes down to what's in it for them. This talks from my position to you. The features about my training to the benefit my training will benefit you. This is like the I, me, my, mine versus you, yours. It's the same thing. Now go to the next slide, and let's flip this to benefit, advantage, feature.
BAF.
And so if you think of it this way, it's they need the best solution. The feature's now the solution, but the benefit that they need, that's what they really want. The benefit is what the customer desires: to achieve greater quality of life by living your purpose. The advantage is still something good about it. This is a easily understood and implemented system that fulfills you now through the feature, through heart-centered selling. So this is where, again, I was saying the other day, when we start talking about it, it isn't about, it's finding what is beneficial. Nobody wants to learn how to build a funnel.
No.
What they want is the revenue the funnel brings them. What they want is the ease of money being deposited into their bank account. What they want is the notoriety that comes because they're now elevated to guru status. Nobody wants a funnel, which is why people don't build funnels. And so if you go, hey, you really need a funnel. Oh boy, am I excited about that. I really need a funnel. Until you understand how you can deliver benefits through your funnel, how you could put smiles on people's faces, how you could bring families together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this friend this morning that's on the business side. He goes, I don't do projects. I don't want to revitalize, half a downtown.
Right.
But I'm on a mission to give people hope and an opportunity. You get the difference?
Yep.
So it's very much the same in this. And if you go to the last slide, I think it's the last slide. I don't remember.
Yep, last one.
Yeah. So if you sum it up, and this is Dr. Jim Parker, who created Parker College, but he said, success is predetermined by your faith, confidence, and belief in your products, services, and ideas. When you take all this and you put it together, success is predetermined as long as you have faith, confidence, and belief in your products, services, and ideas. And it's very true. Tomorrow I do a talk on perseverance down in Houston. And as my wife even said, she goes, my God, you're putting in a lot of time to develop this presentation. She goes, normally you've got, you've done so many presentations, you're ready. And I said, well, they asked me to do something specific. And when I started really digging into it, it was just awesome. So again, success on tomorrow's talk is predetermined because of faith. I believe it's going to be awesome. The confidence, because I know how much work I put into it, and the belief in being able to deliver in that talk, the services and the ideas that I'm going to share tomorrow. And
makes sense.
The point is that when we do these trainings, or we come together on all this kind of stuff, there's a reason for it all. It's years of experience. It's years of good, bad, or indifferent. But one of the things that's in that talk for tomorrow that I thought about bringing in here is basically I put down failure doesn't exist unless you quit. There are learning steps. There are challenges. There are problems. But there's not failure until you allow it to be called failure. When they went to Edison after all the attempts at creating the light bulb, they said, you know, you had 10,000 failures. And he said, I didn't have a single failure. What I found is 10,000 ways that didn't work. And so again, it's how we take these trainings and how we take this information and how we take the value of funnels and how we take the value of what we're doing here. How do we frame it in our head? Somebody's going to say, oh my God, you guys have been talking over an hour about all this stuff now, and you just keep on droning on and on and on. Okay, your opinion, cool. You know, or you're saying, wow, you got me critically thinking about some stuff, and, you know, let's go from there. So
right.
It's my story. I'm sticking to it today.
That's your story.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Rayanne.
All right. Well, that is it for Double Funnel on Friday with Scott. You're going to miss us for 2 days over the weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.
Absolutely.
Hop over there to doublefunnel.tv, and we can work on yours next week.
Absolutely.
That's been great, Scott. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Simple but basics. Bye, guys.
See ya.